Hello, this is Debbie Metke, and today is September 24th, 2017. And I have the honor of speaking with John Sutter, who is a Democratic World Federalist, and he's been quite a leader in our movement. Thanks for joining me, John. And how did you become a World Federalist?
Well, I think I was rather Johnny-come-lately, although as a kid, having some benign relatives who were politicians, I felt that I was a citizen of my city, citizen of my county, citizen of my state, citizen of my nation. And so later, it wasn't too difficult to think of being a citizen of the world. However, I really started out as a Europeanist, being in combat in Europe. The family came from Europe. I was a student tour of Europe, and the conditions were so bad during the war, I started writing my doctoral dissertation on the need for a United States of Europe. But then I was sidetracked, and for the next 4 decades, instead of working on Europe, I was working in and on Asia. But that gave me a much different perspective, and I got to learn to meet the people, not just the government leaders in these various countries. So when I was preparing to retire and looking for something to do, to specialize in, it so happened that the bicentennial of the U.S. Constitution resulted in our world body, then called World Association of World Federalists, and now called the World Federalist Movement, decided to have their World Congress in San Francisco. Because I was a constitutional history buff, when the World Federalists actually had their bicentennial annual meeting in Philadelphia, I decided that I hadn't been to Philadelphia and I wanted to see something about how the American Federation got started. I got there and I happened to see that there was an American World Federalist and a Global World Federalist activities going on, and I sort of monitored them. And that made me very interested. And coincidentally, the president of the Northern California World Federalists said they were looking for an editor. So I joined, I became their editor, later on became vice president and treasurer, and eventually president. But one of the more important activities in which I was involved, and then I was still a vice president, the WFM, the World Federalist Movement, had decided to have their their quadrennial Congress in San Francisco, this time in connection with celebrating the 50th anniversary of the UN Charter written in San Francisco. And since the American headquarters were in Washington, D.C., and we were at the other end of the continent, I finally was talked into being the organizer for that Congress, which brought in a little over 300 participants. We had speakers from 20 different countries, and we got a much better feeling and interest in world federalism.
So which issues were you most concerned about when you became a World Federalist?
Well, I told you I had been a closet European Federalist as a young man.
But was it because of the war mainly, or starvation, or?
Well, you know, the terrible conditions in Europe. But I've been a political scientist since college days, and I've always been interested in good government. And good government, not just locally or nationally, but at the world level, where we don't have a good government.
Right.
And so I guess a major reason why I'm a World Federalist is working towards that goal of a democratic world government.
Uh-huh. Right, okay. And do you have some good memories of your life as a World Federalist through the years? Does anything stand out?
Well, I mentioned the WFM Congress in 1995. I was most proud of. For 16 years, I was editor of what became the Democratic World Federalists, and had an opportunity, well, as a member of the World Body, of meeting World Federalists from throughout the world.
Wow.
And so I was able to publish much of what they said,
Wow.
as well as leading Americans.
Right.
So as the editor, it helped stimulate my interest in trying to work towards the goal of a world federal government.
Right. Well, you sure have been dedicated, and you know, everything you do is based around creating a better world through better governance.
Well, for a long time, people have been saying, yes, that's a good goal, but not in my lifetime. Well, I should try to live long enough to see that goal.
Right. Do you have much hope for the future?
Well, if we can never get past the present U.S. administration of Mr. Donald Trump. But I think the reaction to his terribleness is that there may be a movement for a much better form of government, which would also be attracting the younger people.
Mm-hmm. Wow, we can hope that. Do you have any words of advice for those who are going to follow us?
Well, I guess something it's useful to also review the people who were before us. The World Federalists have been active since World War II, and we've had our ups and downs. And I'm also a historian, so it's useful to find out who has been doing what in the past, but also what new things can be done, in the future.
Mm-hmm. Now that we have the internet, especially, we have better communication.
Definitely.
Right. Well, you've really been a hero in the movement, John. You've kept the idea of Democratic World Federation alive, and we owe you a lot, and we thank you for everything you've done, and it's a privilege to be here with you.
Well, my pleasure.